Neville from Feast Magazine is in the house. Jimmy's on the Park, 706 to Munn in Clayton. That's who's the sponsor. Jimmy's at 725-8585. Their website, jimmyscafe.com. Jimmy's is serving Sunday brunch. Don't forget about Sunday brunch at Jimmy's Cafe. And don't forget about that fireplace there. A great romantic dinner at Jimmy's Cafe. Good morning, Kat Neville.
Good morning.
Let's get right to it. A couple of restaurants for us.
Okay, so as you know, it is our month to celebrate the wine country.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to be in Herman last weekend on a girls' weekend with my friends from high school. We all decided to kind of like meet up out in Herman. And I wanted to talk about a couple of really awesome restaurants that are out there. And I have another restaurant after this, so I'm going to make this into kind of like 2-for-1 segment.
Okay.
So the first is the Black Walnut Bistro. It's at 222 East 1st Street, right there in really charming 19th century downtown Herman. And it is great. It's kind of a husband-wife team that runs the restaurant. The mother of the husband, who's the chef, was waiting on our table. Fresh pastas that are made in-house. I had the carbonara, which was this just rich, cream sauce with this perfectly made fettuccine noodle and, the chicken and the bacon and the peas, and it was lovely. A friend of mine had this thin spaghetti with fresh mozzarella and a really nice light tomato sauce with basil. They have an appetizer on the menu that's like fried olives that are stuffed with cheese, which I love. They're so good. If you've never had a fried olive before, if you like fried pickles, you'll like fried olives. And they, of course, have a lot of fantastic Missouri wines on the menu. They're open for lunch and for dinner. And another spot in Herman, if you're out kind of like exploring the wineries, this one's at a winery. It's at Stonehill Winery, the Vintage Restaurant, which is 1110 Stonehill Highway. And it's in their old stables, which is really charming. And they've kept kind of where kind of the horse stalls were, and they've turned those into booths. And the view is gorgeous. And, of course, they have wonderful Stonehill wines available on the menu. But the food, they do a lot of kind of American foods, but they also have fantastic German specialties like schnitzel and potato pancakes and all this kind of stuff. So it really celebrates the German heritage of the area. So there's some really terrific spots to check out when you are in Herman, which I wrote in my publisher's letter this month because obviously it's our wine issue, that one of my favorite drives is just to go down Highway 94. You kind of go 40 and then you cross the Missouri River, get on Highway 94, and I just like open up the sunroof and just zip out there, and it's beautiful. It's an absolutely gorgeous, idyllic drive, and you hit a ton of great wineries, and it's really in that spirit of exploring what makes this region so special that we're going to be doing our expansion in October, but it's awesome.
You go past Washington, which I love, the little downtown Washington.
I do
They got
too.
some great little places. You can sit there and watch the world go by.
Yeah, it's charming.
And then Herman's, another half hour or so past that, a little longer?
Past Washington, yeah, it's probably about 45 minutes. I like it when nobody's behind me so I can drive kind of slow. Because I just really love the view, and I just love to take it in.
Yeah,
it's just beautiful.
It is. It's a great point, and it's a great weekend to get away to Herman, go spend the day, get lost.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's the Black Walnut Bistro in Herman. That's a great example all the way around of just getting out and going.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's number 2?
Number 2 is a brand new craft brewery in Belle Vegas, also known as Belleville, Illinois. When I first heard it, dubbed Belle Vegas, I was like, that's pretty awesome. So it's called 4204 Main Street Brewing Company, and the address is the name, so I don't need to.
Right. And
the story is really kind of interesting. It's a building that was sitting empty for something like 6 years, and the owner had talked to a lot of different potential investors, clients, whatever, for the building over the years, and nobody really kind of bit. And then this one guy came along and said, I have this vision, and they've rehabbed this building. It's beautiful. They have, you walk in and there's a big kind of bar off to the right and this kind of glass waterfall area. They have an outdoor patio. A nice big dining room. It's kind of broken up so that it doesn't feel like this gargantuan, massive space, but it does host a lot of folks. They have a bunch of different beers on They're only right now serving their own beers plus Stag because Stag was born in Belleville. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. The Western Brewing Company originally brewed Stag, and so
Is it the same formula and the same everything?
I would assume so. I mean, with beer, you have a specific recipe that you want to hit that same flavor each time. And yeah, so Belleville is celebrating its, I believe, I'm going to mess this up. I need to look it up, and I'll tell you guys next time. But I think it might be the 250th anniversary.
It's the 200th anniversary.
Thank you. 200th anniversary this year for Belleville. And so Stag is one of the culinary treasures. And so they serve it along with their own brews at 4204 Main Street Brewing Company, along with, like, they have an IPA, a Saison, they have a rye, a chocolate stout, a blonde ale. It's really fun to see these places cropping up.
There are so many craft places opening up. I mean, it's an explosion.
People love beer, and it's so. I mean, to me, I see this huge growth in the drinks industry. You know, with our wonderful wineries supporting all this tourism out in the middle of the state, we've got all the breweries, we have the new distilleries that are popping up all over the place, and it's just a lot of fun. And the thing is, people love beer, and what's great about this is that, you go in, you grab an IPA. They have a bunch of different apps on the menu, like fried green tomatoes and stuffed mushrooms and all this kind of stuff. Lots of different steaks. They have a pumpkin seed crusted salmon that's served with, like, roasted cauliflower and a polenta cake. Some salads on the menu. I mean, it's a very approachable kind of munchy type menu that goes great with beer.
I'm sure you can spend millions of dollars to start a craft brewing company, but
I don't think you need quite that much.
Right, but I mean, you can get into it relatively inexpensively.
I think it's the equipment that is. I mean, obviously you have to build out. I mean, anytime you build out a restaurant, that's a massive investment.
Right.
The kitchen is very expensive. If you're going in and starting from scratch with a building, and you're not just taking something over and renovating it, it definitely will set you back. And then so when you walk up to 4204 Main Street, you can see all of the equipment, all the stainless steel kind of gleaming in the window, and it's a really charming
I
building.
love that look in any bar, restaurant where they've got the tanks exposed.
It's very inviting, and it's a great addition to what's going on in Belle Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting to see that it's not just concentrated, like, kind of in the heart of the city. I mean, it really is. You can find these gems all over the region. It's a lot of fun.
4204 Main Street, that's the address and the name of the store, the name of the place. 4204 Main Street in Belleville, Illinois. What's going on with FeastCom?
We are sponsoring Art and Air, which is this really terrific event that takes place in Webster every year. And it's not this weekend, but next weekend.
Got it.
And it just brings together tons of fantastic local artists, great food. And it's really meant for families. It takes place the entire weekend, and I mean, it's right there in the middle of just gorgeous, idyllic Webster Groves, and so you can just kind of wander around, look at just lots of different great art and nibble on terrific food. So we're very, very proud and excited to be sponsoring that.
Okay, so that's
when is that?
Not this weekend, but next weekend.
And go to feaststl.com for more information.
Absolutely.
All right, TV show. Anything on the TV show we should know about?
Well, we aired the episode, and if you want to go to the website, you can see it. It's airing throughout the month on 9 Create. But we head out to Les Bourgeois to look at their Wine on Tap program. That's right.
Wine on Tap, love it.
Last October, we visited with Stonehill Winery, and actually we're on hand for their Norton as picking. So we see the folks that are actually in the process of picking the Norton grapes for the Stonehill vintages, and then we also head down to St. Genevieve County and visit with the folks at Chalmette Winery and talk to Adam Lambay, who they have a restaurant called the Grapevine Grill at Chalmette, where he sources as many of his ingredients as possible within a 35-mile radius of the restaurant. And so he not only is cooking with the wines, like, for example, making vinegars out of their Chardonnay, but he also is cooking very wine-friendly foods. And so we kind of show you a lot of the different things that he is making that pair really well with those Missouri varietals, which are very different from varietals that people are used to hearing. So like Norton, Vignole, Chardonnay. These are grapes that a lot of us aren't necessarily totally familiar with, so we introduce you to those.
That's on Feast TV. You'll be happy to hear that I'm planting my my vegetable garden this week.
What are you planting?
Potatoes,
Yeah.
tomatoes,
Yeah.
and I don't know what else yet.
So you're starting with potatoes and tomatoes.
Potatoes and tomatoes.
All right.
I want to pull the potato out of the ground and just throw it on the grill.
Oh yeah, no,
It's a start. Hey.
I think a lot of people don't grow potatoes. What variety? What are you going to be growing?
I don't know. I don't know. Whatever Dinah Green gives me.
Okay. And what kind of tomatoes do you
Well,
have?
I don't know. I like the big plump tomatoes, but I kind of like the Roma tomatoes because I like making bruschetta.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to sort of take the skin off the bruschetta or the
tomato.
Roma tomatoes
Yeah.
and then mix it up. So I
Well,
don't know. Maybe
tomatoes,
a little
there's
both.
so many different varieties. Actually, in an upcoming issue that we're working on right now, there's actually a seed company located in southern Missouri that has a ton of heirloom varieties that you might not be able to get elsewhere. So that's something we can talk
But
about later.
you've mentioned this before. A homegrown tomato, tastes totally different than a tomato you buy at the supermarket.
It's night and day. I hated tomatoes for the majority of my life because, you grow up eating stuff from, just a standard hothouse or grocery store, whatever tomato that's been trucked in because it's more shelf stable and all
Right.
this kind of stuff. So something that, yes, you go out and you pluck it off of the vine.
They shouldn't even call it the same word.
No.
It should be a different word, not
Yes,
a
it is.
tomato, because it's just a
Totally
completely different thing.
different.
Yeah.
All right, Kat Neville with Feast Magazine, feaststl.com. Have a good week. Thanks for
Thank
checking
you.
in.
Thank you.
850, Big 550, KTRS.
Hey, let's do